We're going to take you on a journey through Angel Reese's unmatched season that will make you reevaluate everything you thought you knew about basketball stardom. I'm not sure what it is about this league, and I'm not sure what it is about Angel Reese and whether she's with the Chicago Sky or the Rose BC. Imagine being one of the most talked about players in women's basketball, only to discover that you might be your team's biggest problem. The reality that Angel Reese is currently dealing with is not pretty, with air balls, flops, and losses that just won't stop. Next big thing, the person who changed the game forever. But wait, because this story is about to take a crazy turn. Angel Reese may be well known and a social media star, but there's a big difference between a star and a draw. You see, Angel Reese was more than just a player, she was a marketing machine. The league relied on her to attract crowds, thinking that since they had her, they were set for life, but sometimes things don't go as planned. We've discussed this before, and we saw it happen during the WNBA season last year. Captured the hearts and imagination of thousands, not tens of thousands. Of course, as that double-double streak was coming to an end, we saw the Chicago Sky go from being in serious WNBA playoff contention to plummeting to what can only be described as a basketball version of a toilet. Don't get me wrong, Reese is still putting up numbers. She's scoring, grabbing rebounds, and doing... It's like watching a movie where the protagonist is doing things right, but the plot doesn't. This is where it gets really interesting. Reese joined Rose BC in the Unrivaled League, and everyone thought, okay, this is it. She's going to dominate from one. However, reality hit hard and quickly, and Rose BC keeps losing and losing some more. You might be wondering, how is this possible? Well, Rose BC is a terrible name, but really, Angel Reese plays for said team, and I'm not sure what it is about her. When she puts up real productive numbers, her teams lose, whether it's the Chicago Sky or the Rose BC. But the truth is that statistics don't always tell the whole story. You can score 30 points per game and still not help your team win. It's like being the best dancer at a party where nobody else can dance, sure, but the part is still a flop. Now, you might be wondering if Angel Reese is truly living up to all that hype, or if she's just fabricating statistics like a basketball player, you know, who looks fantastic on paper, but somehow loses when they're on the court last night. You may think you have Angel Reese figured out, but wait, this story is about to take a crazy turn you won't believe with Rose BC. Angel Reese isn't the best three-point shooter in the world, by the way, and even with all those produced videos she's put out in the lab practicing her long-range shot, for some reason after she poured 19 points on the floor the other day, this is an obvious offensive spark plug, and we saw that when Lexi Hall was largely sidelined last night, too, by the Rose BC and their alleged superstar. So here's the thing. Rose BC, Reese's new team in the league that's unmatched, is losing games left and right, and Reese is putting up good numbers while it's happening. In her most recent game, for example, she scored 17 points and pulled down 7 rebounds. But guess what? Rose BC still took another loss. My goodness, goodness gracious, 17 dolls. Now it's so sad. Oh goodness, goodness gracious, 17 dolls. Oh goodness. As you can see, they took the big fat L now. Lexi Hall had 7 boards, and that's all you could give her 9 minutes. 7 even points. And that's all. You may be wondering, well, but how bad can it really be? Well, let me tell you, it's not pretty. It's like Reese has some sort of victory repellent, and the more she scores, the more likely her team is to lose. This is crazy, right? We've seen this happen before, but players who accumulate stats but are unable to help their team win, like Andre Drummond or Ben Simmons. They have big names, big numbers, but not always big impacts. If she goes off, their teams lose. That's all there is to it, though. And here's where it gets really interesting. Rose BC has lost 3 of 4 games since Unrivaled started 3 games. We can see Reese's numbers on the stat sheet, but what's happening behind the scenes in the locker room on the practice court is causing Rose BC to struggle so much with their superstar on the court. I mean, if you put her on the court and keep her out there for too long, you're screwed and you're going to lose a basketball game. Wow. My goodness. The female embodiment of Andre Drummond and Ben Simmons put together with long hair. Is there a secret element that we're all missing that could explain why Reese's individual brilliance isn't translating to team success? The reason Rose BC can't get a break isn't just about Reese's stats. There's something much bigger going on here. How you approach this is different without Elisa Thomas, but it also presents a challenge. To approach, I liked his confident picture in which Reese steps up to make a three-pointer and not a few-pointer. The audience holds its breath, and then it's embarrassing. But here's where it gets really strange. The announcers act as if it never happened. Someone pointed out that, and the damn announcers pretended that Angel Reese didn't just airball three right here. And the CD Sports podcast called him out for it. They just pretended that Angel Reese didn't airball three. Can you believe it? They just brushed it off as if. Now, you may be thinking, oh, the announcers made a big deal, but wait. The Unmatched League as a whole appears to be struggling with marketing. For example, who names a team Rose BC? It sounds more like a vitamin supplement than a basketball team. Where did they come up with the names in this league? They're terrible, awful, terrible. But one thing is certain, women's basketball is uncomfortable with good marketing. Well, they don't get down with Caitlin Clark, who is good at it. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember how we were wondering what's going on behind the scenes with Rose BC? Well, the issue begins long before the players ever set foot on the court. The unrivaled league's odd naming decisions are only the first step. You see, the league is unable to figure out how to market its top players. It's as if they're afraid of success or something. And worse, they're repeating the WNBA's mistakes by acting as though cash cow, but instead of embracing her, they avoid her as if she has some sort of illness. They believe that Caitlin Clark is the so the entire league has attempted to avoid her as much as possible, even though they should be fully leaning in. They know how to market themselves. They don't even know how to name teams. Now, you may be wondering how this relates to Angel Reese's performance in general. After all, how can a league expect its players to shine when they can't even get the fundamentals right? And let's not forget about the attendance figures. You know how many people showed up to watch Reese's most recent airball? It's as if the league is allergic to success. Could you hit a rim and not airball? About those embarrassingly empty arenas, well, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because this is where things get really crazy. Angel Reese isn't just putting up numbers in front of a small group of fans. She's doing it in a league that appears to be actively working to make your attendance situation worse. It doesn't look great. It looks awful on television. From the perspective of attendance, they should have pulled an AEW here, put a number of seats back here, and packed everyone on this one backside so everyone believes the arena is actually full. Now, you might be wondering, wait a minute, why would a league want to fail? That's the right question, because the Unmatched League isn't just bad at marketing, they seem afraid of their own success. Remember how we said that Reese was averaging some impressive stats? Well, let's take a moment to break that down. She's scoring, sure, but her shooting percentage is awful. It's like watching a kid try to put popcorn in their mouth from across the room. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it's just a mess. Did you point out the long 3 points she made, or did you just want to cake Elle Clark? Man, that escalated. You know how NBA players like Andre Drummond put up huge numbers, but their team still lose? Well, Reese is becoming the women's basketball equivalent of that big stats zero impact. It's like she's cursed or something. The real kicker is that the league doesn't seem to care. They seem to be allergic to success. They have a star player who gains attention for all the wrong reasons, and they're doing nothing to address the issue. Can you believe that's exactly what happens when she grabs all those damn rebounds for the Sky? There's more going on here than just Reese or air balls or even those empty arenas. Remember Kate Martin, Caitlin Clark's former teammate? She decided to give Reese a taste of her own medicine, and boy did she. If she's not going to spend the time to actually get good at layups, she needs to pass it back out right now while she's driving. That's good basketball. Let me tell you, you're on to something. Backfire spectacularly. So last night, Kate Martin, who's pretty tight with Caitlin Clark, gave Angel Reese a little dose of her own medicine. She flopped around on the ground like she was LeBron's play cousin out there, because we know he's the ultimate flopper. Picture this. Martin goes in for a play, hardly touches Reese, and then all of a sudden, Reese is on the ground rolling around like she's trying out for a soccer team. Can you believe it? It's like watching LeBron's long-lost cousin on the internet. This is field day with this one. There is slow motion action and, well, there's hardly any contact, but you do fall to the ground and begin to flop around, back, front, over, flip around like you're an egg, and why not? But this is where things get really interesting, because it's not just about Reese making a fool of herself on national television. Rather, it's about something much bigger. You see, this flop is a symptom of a much deeper problem in the unrivaled league. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so Reese, flop, big deal. This is a cry for help. She was driving to the basket, and some people thought that even if she had made it, she wouldn't have made the basket. Well, she was everywhere, and if she hadn't been fouled, it wouldn't have mattered. Remember how we discussed those empty arenas and how Reese keeps putting up numbers, but her team can't win? Well, all that is related to this one moment, because when Reese hit the floor, she wasn't just trying to draw a foul. She was demonstrating to us how desperate things have become in this league. I will give Angel Reese credit for this. It's her play of the night. To do a lot more for the sky, for the rose, that nice little pass out to Lexi Hull, who made the three-putter. And here's the league's response to all of these crickets. They act as if it never happened, just like those commentators did when Reese's air ball happened. But you can't ignore a flop this big. It's like trying to act like an elephant isn't there when it's sitting on your couch eating all your peanuts. Therefore, we must ask ourselves, is this what Reese's game has come to, or is this what the unrivaled league is all about? Because if it is, we have a much bigger problem on our hands than just one player's antics. There you have it, people. Angel Reese's journey from college superstar to, well, whatever this is. I assume, or at least hope, that TNT has performance clauses in the contract, because otherwise they are screwed. You know how quickly things can change in the basketball world? 1 minute you're on top of the world, and the next you're flopping around like a fish out of water. Just when you thought that the ratings for Unrivaled could not get any lower, America sends a clear message. In fact, America sent them a clear reminder that we are not interested in watching pretend basketball.